So this is one of my favorite blogs. I suggest it to a lot of clients, a lot of individuals that reach out to me for support. So the story you attach to, right? The story that you attach to shapes the direction of your life, hands down. We are all wandering around through our lives with all kinds of stories running in our imagination, our mind. So most people think that they're trapped by what's happening outside of them, the people, places, things, situations, and circumstances. They're actually trapped by the story that they are attached to. They're actually suffering, confused, overwhelmed, stressed out, anxious, or trapped by the meaning that they've attached to by something that's happened, something someone said, someone else's behaviors. It's a lot of blame, finger pointing. But it's a story. It starts as a story first in your head that you attach to. So an attachment is a thought that you believe, keeping it rather simple. So have you ever noticed, and this used to perplex me for most of my life, noticing how two people can experience the same event, be at the same place, the same time, in the same room, experiencing the same thing. And the two people, let's just say me and someone else, experience it totally differently. Have you ever been where it's like, how is it possible that you interpreted it so differently than I did? How is it that one of us moves forward and the other one stays stuck? How is it that one person is inspired and another person feels disempowered or sad or ashamed or whatever? How is that possible? That used to drive me crazy. I used to see people that were, and I still do, I'm very drawn to these individuals that are very magnetic, very charming, very personal, very, just have this like aura, I want to call it. It's not a typical word that I use, but they just have this aura that I just want to just drink and be a part of and be like absorbed by. They're very charismatic and magnetic and they say very little. I always used to be so confused by that. But for two people to experience anything differently, right? Two single individuals in the same place, same time, experiencing the same thing and experiencing it differently, it can't be outside of you. So your feelings are not being injected into you. Your feelings are all coming from inside out. It's not the event creating the feelings. It's not what people say or do or the situation or the circumstance that makes you feel like moving forward or staying stuck. It's the story in our minds, the story that we think and believe, the story we get attached to. Because when the event happens, like the two people leave the room, me and this other person, the event is over. The story will keep playing in our individual minds. So for me, if I'm stuck or frustrated or mad or angry, I'm probably replaying it over and over and over and over again. Where the other individual that's empowered by it, learned something, is probably not thinking about it at all. They're not trapped by a story. The story in their mind is not shaping how they think, how they behave, how they interpret that in a way that it drives their next move, their next action, their mood, even. So the story that we create in our mind is how we experience that moment and moments after that. Maybe weeks, maybe years, maybe decades. Have you ever met somebody that's been divorced, right? Maybe they were divorced in a way that they didn't see coming. And for 10, 20 years, they talk about it at every social event, how they were left, how they were blindsided, right? That divorce happened. It happened 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And you keep repeating that story in any social event that you have people's attention. Maybe you're online in social forums and talking about it. You're reinforcing that story or keep talking about it. That rejection happened once, but that person would be replaying what happened to them thousands of times, keeping that active in their imagination, keeping that active in their mind, reinforcing it by talking about it, thinking about it, putting it out on social media, studying it, researching it. What did I do? What could I have done differently? Woe's me. With all things that we experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, one of the things I point to frequently with my clients is developing the skill of what a lawyer or law enforcement does, right? They separate the facts from emotion. They separate facts from stories or interpretations or people's imagination. What are the concrete facts? What's real? What is something that a jury of 12 people would agree on occurred or happened? What are the facts? Right? The situation or life will happen once. If we keep fueling thoughts about something, ruminating on it, replaying it over and over and over again, it keeps it alive. It's like adding fuel to that fire. It keeps that neural pathway in your brain active. It keeps you on defense. It keeps you on watch. It keeps you vigilant, which really is training your brain to work really hard to protect and serve you, which will lower your well-being, your health, quality of life, everything. You won't sleep as well. You'll be more stressed out. You'll be more on edge. You'll be more moody because you'll be on this emotional roller coaster. Sometimes we humans confuse memory with reality because when we replay that story in conversations and social events or on social media or with your therapist, when we keep replaying that story over and over and over again, your brain doesn't know that you're not reliving it. Right? When we replay that story, you might start sweating. Your heart rate might start going up. Your chest might get red. You might feel hot. All these things, you're training your nervous system and your brain to be hyper vigilant and on high alert. You're using a small portion of your brain. You're not using your entire brain. Most suffering comes in replaying, rehashing, ruminating. Suffering happens. We're no longer present in this moment. We're no longer seeing birds. Behind this camera, I have birds eating out of a bird feeder. We miss that. We miss rainbows. We miss smelling cookies baking in the background. Yesterday I saw a coyote running by my window. If I was replaying and rehashing and ruminating about something that happened years ago or moments ago, I probably wouldn't have seen that coyote run by. Or hummingbirds. I have a hummingbird feeder. We would miss those things because we're just really absorbed in a story. So most suffering happens when we replay, rehash old events. There is a big difference in language is a huge thing that I work a lot with my clients. And I get a little bit of pushback. So like, oh, I said that, but it didn't mean anything by it. Language is a very small glimpse to what's running consciously and subconsciously or non-consciously in your mind. So yeah, it does matter. It gives me a peek into what's rattling around in your brain. What are your stories? So there's a big difference when we say, I failed at something versus I always fail, right? So always is an absolute, right? I am a failure is what that leads to. And that's an identity statement. And that's very disempowering. So one of them, I failed at something is taking ownership and responsibility and saying, hey, I failed and this is what I learned from it. This is how I'm going to move forward. These are the lessons I learned and this is how I'm going to do things differently going forward. That is ownership. That's leadership. That's self-leadership. That's being genuine and authentic. But saying I always fail and I am a failure, well, certainly what will end up happening is you're now giving your brain an algorithm to start looking for all the ways that you are a failure. And guaranteed your brain will find more of it. And guaranteed your life is going to feel darker, heavier, and more burdensome. Language has power. It influences our behaviors, our body language, what we say yes to and what we say no to more than anything. So whatever you do repeatedly, again, going back to how you think and what language you use, how you articulate yourself and your life and the experiences that you have, what you repeatedly do, whatever the flavor is, will grow. So whatever you water will grow. So if you have deep appreciation and gratitude for your body, for this life, for this experience that we call life, that will grow. This is not an affirmation, chanting, quote reading suggestion at all. You deeply got to think and believe gratitude. It's more of a feeling than just words. I had a major misunderstanding of that for most of my life. I thought I could affirmation myself into feeling happy, and that's not possible. But if you repeatedly look for things that are fearful, heavy, disappointing, how people are disappointing, or how life is disappointing, or how life is happening to you, you will find it. It will grow. If you focus in on how you're being confident and continue to work on your self-confidence, which also confidence is a hyphenated word, self-confidence. In other words, what you think of yourself. And if you really focus in on how you think about yourself and continually edit your language and keep building on a repertoire or how to articulate how confident you want to be and what it means to be confident and be in integrity and act confident, follow through with what you say you're going to do. Obviously, when you say you're going to do something, make sure you set yourself up for success, right? Lower the bar to where you can complete it, but show up for yourself. Be in integrity. Stop saying things that you cannot follow through with. Start showing up for yourself. We logically can say, I want to become a self-confident person. That means nothing. Where's the follow through? At the end of the day, what actions mark a self-confident person? Before you lay your head down on the pillow, how did you show up today? What's the proof that you are self-confident? Again, what you focus on and what you repeatedly do, think, say, do, believe, grows. If you believe you're a victim, right? Woe is me, my life, my childhood, my circumstances, my situation, I so awful, so terrible, everything's happening to me, that will grow. Guaranteed. Your brain is like an algorithm. It's like, okay, we're a victim. Let's look for proof of that. And what it does is it has you shrink in this world. It has you looking for evidence and proof that you are a victim everywhere you go. Every grocery line, every Even in traffic, it'll look for ways that you are a victim to your circumstances. Social media, everywhere, you will look through the lens of victimhood. If you want to be more resilient, strong, brave, courageous, look for ways in which you can be more brave, be more courageous, and take action. Doesn't have to be massive, doesn't have to be enormous. It could be quite simply doing one tiny thing differently every day and start keeping score, right? Look for ways that you are growing. But whatever receives your attention, whatever you focus in on, becomes familiar in your life. Your brain loves what feels good and familiar. I know everybody talks about dopamine in the self-development world, but for me, it's really about what I articulate to myself that plates it as a good thing. I'm not really big on the good and bad, but my brain, I know how my brain works. It loves what feels good and feels familiar. So even if it's doing dishes or raking leaves or any kind of chores or errands I have on the agenda today, I will gamify it. I'll plate it in a way that the future me will be proud that I completed these things. And also, how can I make it fun? How can I make it enjoyable? How can I make it so stupid easy that I can complete it today? And at the end of the day, I'll be proud. I'll be more self-confident. I'll be more self-assured. I'll be more grateful for whatever that is. It amazes me with 22 acres to work on here where I live, how just a little every day makes a massive difference over time. It's amazing. So it can be done. Writing books, same thing. Initially it looks like a massive mountain to climb over, but if you just do a chapter every day, eventually it's done. So it's setting the bar low enough where you can step over it every day and do it. I think that's a James Clear thing. I might be hodgepodging those words, but that to me is what lands for me. So the mind becomes skilled at whatever you practice, whatever you focus on, whatever you want more of. So the biggest question I ask my clients is, how do you want to feel? Right? I know how you feel now. You feel sad, frustrated, irritated, annoyed, disappointed, whatever. I know that you can speak ad nauseum. You could do a TED talk on how you currently feel. I got a really good grasp of how you feel, and I'm sorry you feel that way. But know that how you're thinking about it is creating how you feel about it. So if you want to feel differently, how do you want to feel about your life or that situation or that circumstance? Well, I want to feel empowered. I want to feel proud of myself. I want to be self-confident. I want to feel resilient. I want to feel brave. All right, what's the steps to right now that would show me proof that you are that version of you? What can you do in the next 24 hours that shows me that you are resilient, you are brave, you are courageous? Take action. Less thinking and more doing, getting into action, doing and living and showing me that you understand that you think, you feel, and you do. Because when we stay in the, well, I don't want to feel this way of thinking, you're just feeding the algorithm in your brain. This is how we want to, this is familiar. This is familiar. So your brain stays over here in this familiarity. That's why people stay in terrible jobs and terrible relationships and terrible towns. It's because it's familiar. The brain loves what feels good and familiar. So the feeling good in a relationship or a job is there's a good feeling because of safety and known, right? A lot of people stay in relationships and jobs in town. It's because it's known. And leaving that town and leaving that job and leaving that relationship is so unknown. It's frightening. It doesn't feel good. So they stay because it's familiar. It feels good and familiar. So the mind will protect familiar stories more than helpful ones. Okay. So a lot of people will tell me, I know I should leave my job. I know I should leave my relationship. I know I should leave my town, but I can't. All right. Well, whatever you say you can't, you won't. Those are very powerful words. Those two words, I can't, I guarantee you, you won't. Because it tells your brain, danger, stop. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel familiar. Stop, stay where you're at. There's safety here. You've stayed alive up until this point. So it'll stop you. But people, when I especially first start coaching people, they will defend their limiting beliefs to death. They'll, yeah, but I need to stay in this job because it's, you know, secure. I know I'm getting a paycheck. I need to stay in this relationship because, I don't want to upset anybody. Yeah, but I have to stay in this town because, it's all I know. And there's people here that depend on me. Okay. You're creating your limiting beliefs. You're in your own way. Your story, your imagination is stopping you. These are all your blind spots. So a lot of common statements I hear in coaching one-on-one is, I am not confident. I can't trust people. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too damaged. I'm too broken. They may not even say those words directly. They might say 15, 20 minutes of all kinds of things that really boil down to, I'm not enough. That used to be, it's still something that pops up for me once in a while. We're all a work in progress. But the mind will protect these. It'll create all kinds of strategies to protect these limiting beliefs because they're known, they are familiar, they've been repeated so many times, probably non-consciously in your subconscious so many times that it becomes familiar. It's what's known. And it's not accurate. It's old, it's outdated, it hasn't been challenged. It almost probably, in most people, they're unaware that they're having those thoughts. They're on autopilot. They're like, oh, I know I should go out and date to find people. I know I should look for another job. I know I should start working out. I know I should eat better. I know I should. They'll just should themselves to death. But they won't, because they're too old, too fat, too ugly, too this, too that. So the mind would rather stay in the comfort of familiarity than be free, because free is dangerous. The brain does not care if you're happy, sexy, in love, have $1 million, have 1 million followers, does not care about those things. It's protecting you, keeping you safe and alive. So that goes back to what you're thinking. If you keep thinking that there's danger in taking action, your brain is protecting you from dying. I know, it's so odd. It's like a prehistoric brain that means well. I'm sure it's up there smiling and going, I'm protecting you, human. Look at me. I'm working so hard, which you're just exhausting yourself with these stories, with these limiting beliefs, exhausting yourself. And these stories that run in our conscious or non-conscious minds turn into identity. So people oftentimes will stop saying, this happened to me, and they'll say, this is just who I am. This is how it is. This is my life. This is my reality. This is the cards I was dealt. And that's heartbreaking to hear. So that breakup becomes, I'm unlovable. I'm unworthy. I'm different. I'm broken. I'm not good enough. Maybe some sort of mistake or failure becomes, I'm just bad with money. I'm bad at that type of job. I'm just bad. I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified enough. I can't learn, or something's wrong with me is a big one that I hear. And with stress and anxiety, I hear this so often. I wish I could get $1 for every time I've heard this. I am just an anxious person, or I am an overthinker, or I am always stressed out. I am a workaholic. I am a night owl. All of these things are just so limiting. Like it's like you're just slapping this label on your head, and that's your algorithm. Boom. That's the way you're viewing the world. That's your identity. And your brain will continue to reinforce that. It'll look for proof and evidence that you are that. And it shrinks your world. It shrinks how you see things, how you view things, how you navigate this life. One of the things that I've personally learned significantly in my journey is the difference between self-reflecting, or in other words, processing, versus ruminating or revisiting something. Okay, so processing or self-reflection creates momentum forward. It creates movement. It creates lessons, learning, development, improvement. Where when we ruminate, revisit, we overthink, it's like being in a rocking chair and we're wanting to go forward, but we're just sitting there rocking and we're creating all this suffering in the moment. So how do you know the difference? Well, I just gave you the clue. It's a feeling. There's a massive difference in feeling. When you're self-reflective and you're honest with yourself, it feels empowering. It's taking ownership and responsibility for your life. Where you're ruminating and revisiting, it's miserable, it's horrible, it's self-deprecating, it's harsh, it's heavy. So when you're really self-reflecting and processing and moving forward, you're going, how can I learn? How can I grow? How can I evolve? How can I take these lessons and move forward? How can I teach this to others? How can I show by example? How do I model being this type of person that's strong, courageous, brave, whatever? When we're in the headspace of ruminating, overthinking, and suffering, it's like, why did this happen to me? Whenever clients ask me a why question, I'm like, here we are, we're looking in the rearview mirror, we're not moving forward, we're looking back. We're blaming people, places, things, situations, and circumstances. Why is never an empowering question, ever. So processing, self-reflection, learning how your reality is being created, who you want to identify with, what your worldview is, helps you move forward. Wallowing in self-pity and martyrism and rumination and overthinking and overanalyzing will keep you stuck. It'll have you feeling helpless and hopeless, confused, frustrated, all of the above. So the mind will recruit reality. It's very confirmation bias. I know that's kind of a therapy language, but let me explain. So everybody, let's say somebody says, I knew they would leave me. A lot of times that story says a lot. That statement says a lot. I knew they would leave me. So at some point, there was a story or a belief that was in your mind that people don't stay around. People reject me. People use me and then they leave. What ends up happening is when we believe that story, we think in that way. A lot of times what will occur is we'll think, act, and behave very oddly in a relationship. We'll be very guarded, we'll have a lot of armor, we'll have a lot of distance. We're constantly looking for proof and evidence that they're about to leave or reject us or don't love us. And it's impossible to love someone that is that hypervigilant. They feel cold, distant, robotic, like a porcupine almost. Like I can't get close to you because it's going to hurt me. So a lot of times people will leave you because that is running in the background. That's your algorithm. And you'll probably be suspect of things where they come home late or whatever. You'll be very needing validation, needing approval. You'll operate in that relationship very insecure. So the mind will ignore on a confirmation bias is will look for proof and evidence in the relationship that they're going to leave, and they will. Paradoxically, you create that because relationships are co-created. So you're probably not enjoyable to be around, in other words. But our mind on a confirmation bias will zero in and look for what fits that story that they're going to leave me. And your mind will overlook all the positive things, the good things, the beauty in the relationship. You'll operate from an insecure way of being, very needy, very grabby. I need validation. I need approval. And those small hits eventually don't register anymore. You'll seek validation and approval. And maybe for initially and early on in a relationship, it'll feel really good. You'll get that little spike of dopamine and oxytocin. And then after 24 hours, you need another hit. And then another hit. And then after a while, the drug doesn't do anything for you. So now what? Right? You're believing your emotions are outside of yourself, where if you're self-reliant, self-confident, self-secure, right? Your feelings, if you really realize your feelings come from inside out, you'll share a life with someone and you'll enjoy them more. You'll come alongside someone and have greater, more intimate moments and share a life moments and laughter and joy and all the things in a genuine, authentic way. And if they want to move on, great. That's a gift. You can move on too. So when if we look at our life as like a book, right? A book or a novel, and you're stuck on chapter 3. You just keep rereading chapter 3, keep rereading chapter 3, right? Keep reading it. And you refuse to turn the page to see what's in chapter 4. You're just going to keep reading chapter 3 again and again and again because this is what happened to me. This is who I am. This is my worldview. They're going to leave me. They're going to reject me. You just stay in chapter 3. So you never meet the other characters in chapter 4 through 100, how many ever chapters are in your novel. You just stick with the same characters, the same people around you that probably insulate your way of thinking, that keep you stuck, right? There's so many social groups that I'm in to observe how humans do this. They keep getting validation and commiseration that keeps them stuck in their way of thinking and refuse to think about things differently. So you're just staying in chapter 3. Keep getting validation and approval that the way you see the world and your worldview, your identity is okay. And me too. I would feel that way too. That keeps you stuck. You're in chapter 3. You never go through the hero's journey. You never prevail. You stay stuck. You never discover what's possible for you. You never push yourself to new levels. You never learn new things. You don't emotionally mature. You don't develop a higher level of emotional intelligence. You stay in middle school, perhaps. Chapter 3. That's what a lot of us do. And I will say, me too. I did not know. I was stuck in chapter 3 for the longest time. I didn't know there were other chapters. I didn't know that I was naturally insulating myself from further growth and development. I knew in my bones there was something that was missing. I knew it. I did all the external things, tried everything. But what I found was my state of mind followed me everywhere through all of those things that I attempted. And I got days of joy and celebration, but after a couple of days, I was still back in that same mindset, that same head, that same way of thinking, that same loop, that same pattern. So I'm like, okay, I'm chasing something else now. and it kept me stuck, kept me miserable. So your mind, if you don't train it to turn the page to chapter 4 and learn new things and develop yourself from the inside out, you'll just stay in chapter 3 and your life will be in chapter 3. So growth doesn't begin when the story changes. Growth begins when your loyalty to old stories changes. So if you stay loyal to the way you think and you actually, this is one of the things that I used to do. I used to think it's funny. I used to walk around. I thought it was an honor to walk around feeling exhausted, tired. Like that was the small talk I remember having with everyone. It's like, oh, how exhausted I am. And it was like a badge of honor. Oh, you think you're exhausted? Well, look at me. Look at my childhood compared to your childhood. That's the kind of conversations that I would have with other people. I thought that was normal because that's the way they talk. That's the way I'll share with you how exhausted I am. I'm a night owl. Me too. Oh, yeah. What did you do last night? Like, and then I was just a zombie. So many crazy things that now looking back, patterns that I had that kept me really destroying my body, to be honest with you, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I'm not saying to deny what's ever happened to you. I'm not saying, you're condoning poor behavior towards you in any way at any level of your life. I'm not saying that. But there is a way to put those stories down and build your inner state of mind and see things differently and let go of a lot of that load. So it's really learning how to train your brain to work for you and how to move forward and evolve this being that you are into something that you value, something that's important to you, how you want to view your life and your world, how you want to reflect back on your life when you're 80 years old and healthy of mind and body, and being able to say, I lived my life fully. I learned so much. I experienced so much. I stayed within my values, my morals, my principles, my convictions, my faith, if that's important to you. So your direction, what you're focusing in on as your eulogy, right? So what people say about you when you're long gone, how you inspired people, how you were brave or courageous or strong or whatever. What is it that you want for yourself? What do you want to experience? What do you want to emulate? What do you want to inspire people to go, yeah, that's my mentor. That's somebody I'm proud to call my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my aunt, my uncle, whatever. But every decision you make today is either going to be from fear or inspiration. But you have to come off autopilot and see your way of thinking, see what stories you're attached to, see what's your algorithm, what you're tuning into. So every day, seeing what you're pointing towards. Are you pointing towards a life that you're proud of, or are you pointing towards a life that is quite disappointing? It's you. You are the one that has to take ownership and responsibility. No one's going to come and do it for you. Sorry. Even as a coach, I will help you see what's creating your stuckness. But after the call, I'm not following you around and slapping your phone out of your hand and telling you to stop scrolling. You have to have the wherewithal and the integrity to follow through. So what stories are you rehearsing in your mind? What is creating a misalignment in your life? What thoughts, what stories, what identity, what worldviews are you believing are true? If I was to meet you today in the elevator What would you speak about? Would you blame your situation, your circumstance, the people around you, your childhood? Would you blame people? Or would you talk about your future, things you're looking forward to near and far, what you're learning, how you're growing, how you're evolving, how some of the things that have happened to you made you stronger? What are you feeding? What thoughts are you feeding? What is it like to have coffee with you? What are you going to talk about? What is your attention focused in on? Are you focused on your wounds, your traumas? Or are you focused in on evolving, growing, learning, adapting, adjusting? So, what story are you being overly loyal to? Is it your own? Maybe it's somebody else's. Maybe it's conditioning. Maybe it's programming. Maybe it's the town that you live in. Maybe it's the friends around you that want to keep you the way you are and not grow. How do you define your worth? How do you determine what decisions you make daily? Because you're making thousands of decisions every day. Are you doing it on autopilot? Are you reacting emotionally? Are you having an intrusive thought and acting on it? Like, oh, I'll just eat that whole chocolate cake. Or I'm just going to scroll. I'm just going to doom scroll, or I'm just going to binge watch a bunch of Netflix. Are you really growing? Are you experiencing life fully? Are you trying new things? Are you getting out there and experimenting with new hobbies, new interests? What stories are you feeding? Knowingly and unknowingly. If you don't know, reach out to me. I will help you find your blind spots very easily. The story you attach to shapes the direction of your life. So are you stuck in chapter 3? You want to get out of chapter 3? I can help you. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this. Reach out to me, text me, email me, comment on this video. I'd love to hear from you. Talk to you soon.